One of the notes I had for my homily here this morning was to make sure I reminded you about the soul food restaurant breakfast that's being served downstairs by our Sacred Heart kids from the school. But I don't think I need to mention it. I think the smell is plenty advertising. So if you have the opportunity, head downstairs afterwards. I know the kids would love it. So this theme of vigilance and readiness to open upon the Master's return, this theme continues today, but the imagery shifts ever so slightly. Well, not even ever so slightly. It shifts pretty dramatically. Jesus says this, "Be sure of this, if the master of the house had known the hour when the thief was coming, he would not have let his house be broken into. You also must be prepared, for at an hour you do not expect the Son of Man will come." So yesterday we don't know when the master is returning from the wedding. We as the servants are supposed to open upon his arrival, and he will come and serve us. Gird your loins, light your lamps, that whole business. Today it's the thief, right? Today we don't know when the thief is coming, and it's a very different posture of the heart. It's a very different place for the heart to be. So how do we make sense of these seemingly, this discrepancy in these images? Well, when else does Jesus use the word thief? He uses the word thief in John 10 when he refers to the opposite of the good shepherd. That opposed to the good shepherd, you have the enemy, the thief, who comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy. Jesus, when he uses the title thief, he's speaking of the enemy. So here he's shifting the imagery. He's shifting the analogy. So you got the master who comes to give life and to serve. We should be ready to open unto him. And then the thief who comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy, that one we should be ever vigilant to keep out. That's the point. That's the point. So here's the question. Does Jesus want us to live in paranoia, this kind of anxiety, obsessing over the enemy, the demonic, spiritual warfare? The answer is no, resoundingly no. And I'm not saying that because it's not real or insignificant. It's all very real and it's all very significant. But the greatest way that you keep the thief out is by continually letting the light in. The way you keep the thief out is by continually staying in the light. Right? Mary, the enemy could never get a foothold into her world. She was immaculately conceived, yes, but it was because her entire being was in the presence of the Father. Her entire heart was filled with light. There was no footholds of darkness for the enemy to grab hold of. Right? Every part of her was filled with light. So to us, it should be the same. St. Ignatius of Loyola, he's one of the church's doctors about when it comes to understanding prayer and the spiritual life, and he's got these beautiful rules for the discernment of spirits. And in one of the rules, he talks about how the enemy behaves. He says the enemy behaves like a man pursuing a young maiden. Like he's a bad man, a wicked man. And he wants to keep his intentions hidden from that girl's father or brother. In other words, he wants to keep his activity in the dark. But the moment his activity is exposed to the light, he loses all power. Where do we keep our hearts in the light? In the sacrament of confession. It's the sacrament of light. It's the sacrament where we open all the doors, all the cubbies, every hiding place. Everything comes out into the open, and light gets in. That's how you keep the thief out. By not frantically worrying about how to keep the doors bolted, you keep the thief out by totally illuminating the house. He won't want to come in. He won't be able to come in. So friends, just as an invitation again this morning, Jesus is inviting us to be vigilant for his approach into our world and to be vigilant in keeping our hearts open. And if you notice, it's the same movement. It's the same reality. If we do one, we'll be protected against the other. Amen.